invocation prayer for Yoga Vasishtha, which I explained in the previous sessions. So you can see it on the screen. Just repeat after me. Yatas sarvani bhutani pratibhanti sthitani cha yatraivopashamam yanti tasmai satyatmane namaha. So, welcome to the second session of this Yoga Vasishtha textual immersion. Just a recap of what we saw in the previous session. I just gave you this the meaning of this shloka, that salutations to the true self, the Satyatman, the true self, from which everything appears. And everything that we perceive in this world is sustained, and everything gets dissolved into. What is that Satyatman? The pure consciousness. So that is for all our Indian knowledge systems, one unchanging truth is that the Atman or the consciousness is the substrate. And all that happens, be it Ayurveda, be it the yoga system or any other system of healing that has its roots, the one fundamental reality is Atman or the consciousness. Upon that only all other things are built up. Okay, so that is the commencement of this the Mangala Shloka. And what is the purpose of health also? Why should one be healthy? So, of course, for happiness in life, health is sukha, is based on health. Arogyam moola karanam. For what? Dharmartha kama mokshanam arogyam moola karanam. Dharma, artha and dharma, artha, kama and moksha. So for moksha also arogyam moola karanam. So arogyam is not for its own self. It is for dharma, artha, kama and moksha, and our ultimate goal is moksha. So that is portrayed through this. For this, all the adi, vyadi, everything we need to know for this ultimate goal of life. So hence the ultimate goal is saluted. Even in Hatha Yoga Pratipika, you see utsaha, sahasa, dhairya, tattva jnana cha nishchaya. Tattva jnana. Why at all you need the practice of Hatha? It is not for the perfection of the body, breath or mind or senses. It is for ultimately realizing the consciousness. So that Tattva Jnana, that ultimate reality, the knowledge about that is also essential for all yogi healing practices. That is the foundation. So hence we salute. So why this shloka at the beginning of Yoga Vasishtha, which we are interested to know, in which we are interested to know about Adi and Adi. So that context of, and in the Upanishads also say the same thing. That is, Nayam Atma Balahinena Labhyaha. Nayam Atma Balahinena Labhyaha. Atman cannot be attained by Balahina. What is Balahina? A weak person, a weak, meek, tired, diseased person cannot dream of even doing his day-to-day activity. Can he ever dream of attaining the ultimate goal of moksha? Not at all. So hence, all the health and other things we are focused on for that ultimate purpose. That is reminded by the initial shloka. And then we saw that there are many approaches in teaching about this moksha and arogya and other things. So of that, one approach is the itihasa approach, where it is a mix of purva vritta and katha. It is a mix of a story and what happened in the past. So there will be one foundational fact upon which some stories will also be built around, so that it is palatable. What is palatable? Easy and enjoyable to consume or absorb. So hence the template of itihasa. So that we explained. And here also the ultimate objective is dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Yes. So that purusharthas are the governing, overarching principle of all the pursuits of Indic knowledge systems. And then we saw that it is not that only Yoga Vasishtha is the only Ramayana which was inspired by the Ramayana. There are so many other Ramayanas, among which Yoga Vasishtha also is one. And we also saw that it is in the form of Yoga Vasishtha, especially, which is called as Jnana Vasishtha or Maharamayana or Arsha Ramayana. So many nomenclatures are there. It is in the form of conversation between Vasishtha and Rama. So I also gave the background of how Rama was kind of in a state of Vairagya, having absorbed a lot of suffering in the world. And then he was, why should I do anything at all? Because the life is all impermanent, there is suffering all around. So why should I, what is the purpose of living? He was in a state of Vairagya. So that the state of Vairagya is encouraged by Vishwamitra, who wanted Rama to come with him to destroy the demons who were disturbing his yajna. So, but seeing the state of the mind of Rama, Vishwamitra advises the Kula Guru, who Vasishtha, to guide Rama towards the higher knowledge. So this is the twist of Ramayana that we find in Vasishtha Ramayana. In Valmiki Ramayana, what happens? Rama simply goes with Vishwamitra. Yes, and then he learns so many things. That original Valmiki Ramayana is also very, very educative. That way, what Rama learns in traveling with Vishwamitra. But this is another twist in the tale that is brought, where Rama learns under Vasishtha so many things in the form of a conversation. And one more thing is, conversation is again another interesting, important, fundamental methodology that our Shastra, across all disciplines. Ayurveda is in the form of conversation between whom? Atreya and so many other Maharshis. So many Maharshis are in conversation. Bhagavad Gita is a conversation between every day you are listening in the morning between Arjuna and Krishna. And in Upanishads, there are a lot of conversation. Bhrigu, Varuna, Aruni, Shvetaketu, and so many such conversations are there. So conversation is a template, and that is more interesting. So in TV also, rather than listening to the lecture of a person, it will be good to watch an interview. Someone is doing interview of someone, what question this person will be asking, how this person will be answering. We will be absorbed in that kind of an interaction. So that template is adopted across literature, and Vasishtha Ramayana also approaches this methodology. And then the unabridged, the original was there also in Vasishtha Ramayana also. There are so many versions. The unabridged, original, full content of Vasishtha Ramayana has anywhere between 29,000 and 32,000 shlokas. I am speaking fast because all this is rewind, only revision, not telling anything new. So we see that there are so many research on Yoga Vasishtha also happening. What is the Moola text of Yoga Vasishtha? Some people say that there is a text called the Mokshopaya, which was written in Srinagar, in Kashmir, on a particular mountain called as Pradyumna. So that was the core text of Yoga Vasishtha, from where, which is called as Mokshopaya, over which this Yoga Vasishtha literature grew. See, Mahabharata also grew like that. What is the original text of Mahabharata? Jaya. Yes, Jaya is the original text of Mahabharata. Over that, some other text grew. It is called as, second stage of Jaya is Bharata. And over that, another layer grew, which we currently call as Mahabharata. So Jaya, Bharata and Mahabharata. So similarly, such texts like Yoga Vasishtha, they also grow in content. Being means people in the tradition, they add some more verses. So by that the text grows. There may be multiple opinions, views about the number of shlokas or the way in which the text. There are so many scholars who have so many opinions. So in the same way, there are scholars who say that Mokshopaya is the core text from which it grew into what is called as Yoga Vasishtha. So these are certain, and a lot of research is happening not in India but in abroad. People are working on this Mokshopaya, the core text. So we have forgotten it. So, and then we also saw the general overview of the chapters of Yoga Vasishtha. We saw that it has basically 6 adhyayas. वैराग्य प्रकरणम, मोक्ष व्यवहार प्रकरणम, उत्पत्ति प्रकरणम, स्थिति प्रकरणम, उपशम प्रकरणम and nirvana प्रकरणम. And our particular discussion on Adivyadi comes in the nirvana prakaranam, which is the sixth one. And in nirvana prakaranam also there is purvartha and uttarartha. Adivyadi discussion comes in the purvartha. Okay. Yes, I also spoke about again our traditional texts. We cannot understand them without the support of commentaries. So we need lot of commentary support. For that, there are also traditional so many commentaries. All the inputs that I will be discussing on Adivyadi will be based on Tatparya Prakasha by Ananda Bodhendra Saraswati. Okay. Then this much was discussed in the previous class. Now we continue from here. Right. So in the Nirvana Prakarana Purvartha also there are about 128 chapters. Those chapters are called as sargas. So Purvartha also has 128 this thing, and this Yoga Vasishta is in the form of upakhyanas. Upakhyan means stories. Stories and stories, story within story. So many stories are built. Basically, in this Purvartha there are 6 stories. In that 6 stories, there is the 6th story. The final story is the story of Chudala. Chudala Upakhyana. So this discussion on Adivyadi comes under the story of Chudala. What is the beautiful, I will set the context of why at all in this chapter we have in this particular Upakhyana. See, Upakhyanas are spread over sargas. One story will not be told in just one sarga. It will be spread over so many sargas. So this Chudala Upakhyana, which is the 6th Upakhyana, comes towards the later, in 75 to later chapter. So in 80th chapter and other things, we find the Chudala Upakhyana being described. So to be in a nutshell, see, Chudala Upakhyana again is a very elaborate story. I am just giving the Chudala Upakhyana in essence. Chudala is the name of a queen. A yogini queen. So she and her husband, so both were ruling a particular kingdom. Her husband was ruling the kingdom, and then Chudala was with him, and then they were following the path of dharma, artha, kama in that way. And then a particular rishi comes and then gives upadesha about the atma jnana. Initially the king is not interested. It is the queen Chudala who becomes interested in the Atma Jnana. She practices tapas and all the vratas and all the prescribed Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana procedures. She attains the knowledge of Atma. So among the two, both were given the Upadesha initiation initially, but the queen overtakes the king and she becomes an Atma Jnani. And then suddenly one day the king perceives that the queen is shining more. Then he asks, I see that there is a certain glow, certain shine in you than earlier. Then she says that no, I have attained, I have practiced the teachings of the Jnani who gave us the knowledge of Atman, and then the Atma Jnana probably is shining through me. Then the king laughs at her. Hey, how can a lady practice and attain this all these things? But later, initially he ridicules her, but later because of her constant company, he realizes that yes, this glow in her is because of the Atma Jnana. Now, I will also renounce my kingdom and then go to do tapasya. Initially, now it is the time for the queen to tease the king. What, you will go to the forest and how will you attain? You cannot. So then again the king attains Vairagya. Even overcoming the teasing of the queen, he goes. But she wants to test his Vairagya. Only because of that, she just teases him initially. And then the king goes to the forest and then does his tapas. And then the queen assumes the form of a sannyasi or a yogi and teaches Atma Jnana in the forest again. So that's very interesting how it is. We speak about empowerment of women yoginis and other things. We find a beautiful description of how women were more established in the path of yoga, guided men in the right path. So hence this is another. Normally the example is given from the Upanishad, where you see the Maitreyi conversing with Yajnavalkya in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. This is mostly miscovered. the Chudala Upakhyanam. See, whether a queen called Chudala existed or not, that is a different thing. The very conception that a lady can attain moksha and that is recorded as a literature and is taught, which means the society as such did not see that as something strange, quite part of the flow of the life. So everyone who is born, every jivatma who is born has the right to attain moksha. So in that sense, the accusations against our culture that it is men-oriented, etc., should be discarded by looking at such stories where women were the ones who were giving this thing. And then the story continues, and once this Chudala, this queen, the very enlightened queen, she thinks she is doing so many things, and one day she wanted to fly. She wanted to exhibit her vibhutis to his husband in the course of the story. So we see that she wants to fly, and then she gets into the practice of yoga. So by the practice of yoga and especially harnessing the Kundalini Shakti, the queen exhibits her flying powers. So that also impresses the king, and so on and so forth, the story goes. So that is where you find the mention of using of there are many ways to attain the yoga siddhis, that is also mentioned. Just like in the 4th chapter of Yoga Sutra, you find Janma, Aushadhi, Mantra, Tapas, Samadhi, Jaha, Siddhayaha. So by birth, certain people can attain siddhi. Aushadhi, by certain herbal preparations, eating certain herbal preparations, one can attain siddhis. Janma, Aushadhi, Mantra, by chanting certain mantras also siddhis can be attained. Janma, Aushadhi, Mantra, Tapas, by doing severe austerity, standing on one leg, standing in the middle of the Panchagnis and so on and so forth, tapas. And then Samadhi, and this practice of meditation, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi on Kundalini and such other prescribed practices, one can attain this siddhis. So she uses the Kundalini, harnesses the Kundalini Shakti and attains the state of Samadhi. In the process of describing her efforts to harness the Kundalini, Vasishtha speaks about Kundalini to Rama, and in the 80th Sarga he mentions about Kundalini, and in the 81st Sarga, in the beginning of the 81st Sarga, he says that Kundalini on being harnessed properly will give siddhis. If the Kundalini Shakti is not properly utilized, that will lead to various ailments. So that is where the mention of Vyadhi, etc. comes. Now Rama becomes curious. Oh, you spoke about ailments, Adhis and Vyadhis. Please tell me about Adi and Vyadhi. This is the context. Have you got the context? So tell me about Adi and Vyadhi. So there is a story. This is how the teaching happens. There is a huge storyline in which there is a particular context, a certain concept is mentioned, and then an elaboration happens, and then again the thing comes back to the main story. So now it is a digression from the main story where Chudala is trying to use the Kundalini Shakti to fly. There Kundalini is mentioned to give the siddhis. Kundalini, if not utilized properly, will lead to Vyadhis. So then Rama now is inquisitive about the Vyadhis and Adhis. So we are focused about in the 81st chapter, 81st Sarga of the Purvardha of Nirvana Prakarana, where you find this discussion on Adhis and Vyadhis, and this is the context. So where Kundalini also, this is the leading sentence which makes Rama inquisitive. So Vasishtha says, Kundalini also expresses itself through the three vayus, Samana, Apana and Udana. Life should not be allowed to dissipate through the upward or downward pulling forces of prana. By this, long life and freedom from illness is attained. So this is the sentence that draws the attention of Rama. So you speak about long life and attainment of freedom from illness. So let me know about it. So then Rama asks, what are diseases? Physical and mental. Speak about this Adi and Vyadhi. So this chapter is also called as Agni Shoma Vicharana. This 81st chapter, which is in which you find the Adi Vyadhi description, it is Agni Shoma Vicharanam. There is about 119 shlokas in the 81st chapter, in which the Adivyadi is discussed, on which only 38 shlokas. There is 32. If you include these shlokas in six shlokas here, 32 plus 6 is 38 and a half shlokas discuss about the concept of Adi and Vyadi. So among the 119 shlokas, other concepts are discussed later in this Agni Shoma chapter. In 38 and a half shlokas, the entire content of this 16-hour textual immersion is centered on how many shlokas? 38 and a half shlokas alone. So this is where we are. So you understand the x-axis and y-axis of where we are. Okay. So I am not going into the Agni Shoma Vicharanam. That will again take a lot of description. You can explore on your own. So how is so from the verse by or unit by unit, if you see those 38 and a half verses, you can see verses 4b means, what is 4b means, if you take any shloka, it has 4 padas, right? So if first 2 padas are A, the second 2 padas are B. So the second 2 padas, so 4b to 10. So that is where the first discussion on the first opening sentence of the Kundalini comes. The manifestation of Kundalini as components of prana. See, Kundalini, it is very interesting here. In Hatha Yoga, it is a different concept. Kundalini is some kind of an obstruction, especially in Hatha Yoga Pradipika. You see, Kundalini is an obstruction which has to be removed so that the prana can enter into the Sushumna Nadi. That is how it is perceived in Hatha Yoga, as different from prana and obstruction to the path of prana. Whereas you see in Yoga Vasishtha that Kundalini is a manifestation of, or Kundalini can manifest in the form of prana, apana, etc. Kundalini is core, so that's why we cannot make a general statement on Kundalini. So, especially in Kundalini Shastras and Tantra Shastra, if you see, Kundalini is the focus where Kundalini has to raise chakra by chakra to give you various siddhis. Whereas in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, it is prana which raises through the chakra to give you siddhis. So, we should be extremely careful in interpreting what Kundalini. There is no general statement on what Kundalini is about. So, it is a text specific. In Hatha Yoga tradition, there is a different concept. In Yoga Vasishtha, you see, Kundalini manifests as the components of not even prana. Along with the Kundalini also manifests as the powers of the senses even. The senses of perception, others, and so on and so forth. So text specifically, context specifically, you have to interpret the various concepts of Indian knowledge. So this is common to so many things. There are many terminologies in our Shastra which has to be interpreted in a context specific manner. If we give a generalization, there is a problem. We may go wrong. For example, the concept of guna. If you say, what is the meaning of guna? Guna in Nyaya Shastra is different. Chaturvimshatir guna. 24. In Tarka Shastra, you say Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, Sparsha, Sankhya, Parimana, Puthakva, Sanyoga, Vibhada, Paratva, Aparatva, Gurutva, Dravatva, Sneha, Shabda, Buddhi. So 24 gunas are there in Tarka Shastra. Whereas you come to Sankhya and Yoga, what are the gunas? Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. So in this way there are different connotations, different paribhashas, different paradigms of given terminologies. So as it is true for gunas or prana, similarly it is true for very critical concepts like Kundalini 1. So initial paragraph 4 to 10. The manifestations of Kundalini as a prana, apana and saman, that is mentioned there. And then that leads to Rama's question, please tell me about Adi and Vyadi in Shloka 11. So 4 to 10 is about the initial description about Kundalini. 11 is Rama's first question. 12 to 14 is the initial response of sage Vasishtha on the interconnectedness of Adi and Vyadi. And then, so the question was on Adi and Vyadi, but sage Vasishtha so beautifully says that don't see Adi and Vyadi as two different things. They are extremely interconnected. The idea of psychosomatic nature of illnesses. So that is at the outset itself presented by Sage Vasishtha. And then in 15 and 16, 6 causes of Adi are given first. What are the 6 factors that lead to Adi? That is listed out. And then verses 17 to 20 speaks about 10 plus 2 causes of Vyadhis. 10 external causes of Vyadhi, 2 internal causes of Vyadhi. So 12 causes. So if Adhis have 6 causes as per Yoga Vasishtha, Vyadhi have 12 causes into 2. So, and then in 21, Vasishtha speaks about karma as the cause of physical illness. 22, how to overcome. Discussion starts now. An elaboration about Adi and Vyadhi has happened. How to overcome Adi and Vyadhi, that is initiated in 22. And then again 23. So again on overcoming the illness, again it is not that there is one pill for overcoming illnesses, because illnesses are of various types. So Samanya Vyadhi, Sara Vyadhi, that classification happens in 23 to 28. And then 29, Rama asks another question where how Adhis lead to Vyadhis. More clarification on the psychosomatic nature of the illnesses. And then Vasishtha responds, and finally some specific measures on how to overcome, how to maintain a good health free from Adhis and Vyadhis using mantras, doing satkarma, how Adhis and Vyadhis can be overcome, a healthy lifestyle that is prescribed towards the end of the discussion. So this is what you can expect from this textual immersion. So just going back, what we will do is, I will skip this initial portion for the time being. Let us focus, let's start from the question of Rama itself. When he asks what is Vyadhi and what is Adhi. So let us start from that, and finally we will come where we can see that Kundalini is the one which ultimately leads to good health. So that portion we will, if time permits, we will take up that. Initially we will start from 11 and go till 42, and then finally we will come back to the first portion. So that's all. I'm done with this presentation. So the other one, the other presentation I said.
It's there, hand out.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Yes. Now we get into the textual immersion as such, proper. So this much of a background I have given. Any question on this? Please read up something more about the story of Chudala. Chudala Upakhyan. There are so many summaries are also available. Lakshmi Yoga Vasishtha and other texts they mention give, in essence, the story is pretty very interesting. Conversations are there, so you can read up about it. Now, as I said, we will start from the question of Rama. So the approach, as I mentioned initially in the opening session, that we will chant these shlokas. It is not that we will superficially look at the shloka meaning and go away. This is an immersion. Means you have to immerse yourself in chanting the shloka, splitting the shloka, understanding it, and getting the inputs from the commentary. Only then you are left with no doubt about that particular shloka. So then we will start with the chanting of the first shloka right away. Shri Rama Uvacha.
Shri Rama Uvacha.
Before going, I hope you all got the handout in your hands. So next time around, if you bring the printout, so you can write away whatever discussion happens, whatever notes you want to make, you can write it in your handouts themselves. So it will be useful. Of course, as a support, this display will also be there. Okay. Shri Rama Uvacha.
Shri Rama Uvacha.
Kim vinasha kim utpadaha.
Kim vinasha kim utpadaha. Kim vinasha kim utpadaha.
Shariresmin munishvara. padas together. Kim vinasha kim utpada shariresmin munishwara.
Kim vinasha kim utpada shariresmin munishwara. Kim vinasha kim utpada shariresmin munishwara.
Adhayo vyadhayaschaiva yathavat kathayashu me.
Adayo vyadayaschaiva yathavat kathayashu me. Adayo vyadayaschaiva yathavat kathayashu me.
Full shloka. Kim vinasha kim utpada shariresmin munishwara. Adhayo vyadhayaschaiva yathavat kathayashu me.
Kim vinasha kim utpada shariresmin munishwara. Adayo vyadayaschaiva yathavat kathayashu me.
Start with Sri Rama Uvacha.
Shri Rama Uvacha. Kim vinasha kim utpada shariresmin munishwara. Adayo vyadayaschaiva yathavat kathayashu me.
See, there are many faculty, experienced faculty sitting here. Of course, students are also there. So this is just a Anushtup shloka, small shloka. How many times we repeated? How many types of repetitions we did? Three times. I have already shown the figures. Okay. First time we did pada by pada, and the second time we did two padas together, and then the third time we did the entire shloka. So in this process, around these many times we have repeated. Some people are very experienced, so you can memorize the shloka now and here itself. Okay, so memorization is also possible. So that is the purpose of repetition so many times. And one more purpose of so many repetitions is that as faculty, as researchers, as teachers, we should also be able to quote these shlokas confidently in any seminars or conferences that we may participate and confidently explain. So that is also the reason. So people read out the shlokas with a lot of mistakes. So one simple mistake here and there in the pronunciation in Sanskrita, it has chaotic effects. So hence the pronunciation should also be taken care of, where we can confidently quote it in any platform. So that is why we do this. Okay. Has anyone memorized it without seeing it? Can anyone say without seeing? Close your eyes and tell. And this is also post-lunch session. Some interaction will also keep us in which sthiti, which avastha? Jagrata avastha, not in swapna. Okay. Has anyone memorized? Yes? Yes. First line, no. Only full. No special offer, 50% no. Full shloka. Maybe I will give you 1 minute's time. 3:38, 3:39, till that I will give you time. 339.
किं विनाशा किमुत्पादाः शरीरेऽस्मिन् मुनीश्वर आधयो व्याधयश्चैव कथयन्ति कथयन्तु
यथावत्
कथयाशु मे
yes madam.
किं विनाशा किमुत्पादः शरीरस्मिन् मुनीश्वरः आद्यो व्याध्यश्चैव यथावत् कथयास्ति.
Also start with Sri Rama Uvacha. Who told it? Anyone else from the student side? See, all of the senior faculty they have set the example. Come on, students. Anyone? Try without seeing.
श्रीराम उवाच किमस्मिन्
You should not compose. What it is?
शरीरे अस्मिन् मुनीश्वर आधायो
याधयश्च
यथातो
अथातो दर्पजिज्ञासम्
कथयाशु.
यथावत् कथयाशु. Good attempt, please. But this is very simple activity. Is it very difficult? Shirshasana, Sarvangasana, Natarajasana. No. It's very simple. Small shloka. Okay. Now, this is the first step. This is how we chant. Next time around, you should on your own just raise your hand and then we go. But the first shloka we just delayed. From the next shloka, everyone should be on your toes and then come up with memorizing it. Okay. At the end, if we at least have these 30 shlokas, 32 shlokas memorized, wonderful things that you can remember and quote at any instance. Okay, so that will be very helpful. पुस्तकस्थातु या विद्या परहस्तगतं धनं कार्यकाले समुत्पन्ने न सा विद्या न तद्धनम. What is the meaning of this? पुस्तकस्था विद्या. Where is the knowledge? In the book. पुस्तकस्थातु या विद्या परहस्तगतं धनं. Your own money you have lent it to someone. कार्यकाले समुत्पन्ने. When there is an urgent necessity to remember or urgent necessity to have the money, न सा विद्या. That vidya is not with you, neither is the money with you. So hence what is important? Vidya should not be in pustaka, it should be in mastak. That's why memorization is very important. Okay. So now the next step we will be doing is we will be splitting the words in this shloka. So just as we do in the morning Maitri Milan for the Bhagavad Gita, as we split, it is very essential to split. Kim vinashaha is one word. Kimutpadaha, again, sharire asmin munishwara. Adhayaha vyadhayaha cha eva yathavat kathaya ashu me. See, all that is given here. Don't worry. So all that you can see has been split and given here, but still it is good to practice it once. Come on, come down. It's not coming down. Want to bring it down?
It knows to only go up. Yes.
So the critical places where we have to word split is Sharire Asmin Munishwar. If you are comfortable with transliteration, it is given here. If you are not comfortable with Devanagari, it is given here. Adhayaha, Vyadhayaha, Cha, Eva, Yathavat, Kathaya, Ashu. Kathayashu is split as Kathaya, Ashu, Ne. Can we split it together? Now, come on. Kim Vinashaha. Don't split it as Kim and Vinashaha. Kim Vinashaha is one word. Kim Vinashaha. Okay, it's a sambodhana addressing the sage. Who is the sage here? Vasishtha Munishwara. And then not Adayo. It is Adayaha. Adayaha. Kathaya Ashu Me. Kathaya Ashu, how do you split? Sharire Asmin Munishwara.
Sharire Asmin Munishwara.
you should be thorough with this, then you will be absolutely confident of what this word is, what it means. Okay. So, see, that's why even in the Upanishads, there is a lot. Upanishads is all about what? Vedanta, Atman, knowledge. But still, it starts with Shiksham Vyakhyasya Varnaswaraha Matra Balam. See, it is about the Atman, but it starts with letters and then how to pronounce the Udata, Anudata, Swarita, the Dirgha Akshara. Why should the Upanishad teach all these things? Only when that is Shabda Jnana Adhinatvat Arthasya. Means if you are not thorough with the words, how will you be thorough with the meaning? That's the template that the Upanishads have given. Why should we do all these practices of splitting the words, chanting? No. If you are thorough only with the words, only then you can get confidently to the meaning that the Upanishads teaches. So we do all these activities. Is this clear? Are you convinced?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Then now we get into the meaning of it. So the first word is we have to go. I have given the word split here. I will rearrange. Means there is the Anvaya Krama. We have to rearrange and choose the order of the words in the form of a sentence. Don't worry, I will not trouble you with doing the Anvaya. I will just give you the meaning of it. So Munishwara is first. Is the word that we have to take first. Munishwara, oh best among the Munis. Who is a Muni? Vasishtha. What is the meaning of Muni? Sage. How do you identify a Muni who has a jata, a long beard? He is a Muni. Mananath Muni. The one who is contemplating always. So the one who is always thinking, the one who is always reflecting. So he is a Muni. And even in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, you have yogis and Munis. Asanani Kathayami. That is in the beginning, Swatmarama says that Vasishthadyeshcha Munibhihi Matsyendradeshcha Yogibhihi. So he makes a distinction between Munis and Yogis. What is the difference between a Muni and a Yogi? There in the commentary, in Jyotsna commentary, it has been clarified that both for the Munis and Yogis, Manana and Hathabhyasa are common. Manana means reflecting, constantly contemplating upon various truths. Just like a scientist will always be thinking about the theories and principles and concepts. Similarly, a Muni is a person who is constantly thinking, who is constantly obsessed with the subject he is investigating. So, Manana can be beautifully defined as a constant intellectual obsession on the object of investigation. Can someone repeat this definition? Constant intellectual obsession on the object of investigation. So that is called as Manana. So this is Manana. The one who is constantly doing this is called as a Muni. And our tradition says only constant obsession with the knowledge is not enough. You should also do Hathabhyasa. You should also do Asana, Pranayama, Mudra, Bandha, Kriya, etc. But a person in whom this Manana is Pradhana and Hathabhyasa is Gauna means secondary. Manana is primary and Hathabhyasa is secondary. He is a Muni. On the other hand, a person in whom the practice of Hatha is more and then the Manana is bit lesser, he is a Yogi. So this is the distinction in the Jyotsna commentary we find. So our Vasishtha is a Muni Ishvara. That's the beauty and depth of Sanskrita. You just have one word, but it has a whole lot of meanings, range of meanings that are associated with it. So Rama addresses Vasishtha as Munishwara. And so Munishwara, oh, best among Ishwara means the best of the Lord among the Munis, Vasishtha Maharshi. So he asks, Asmin Sharire, Sharira is body, Asmin Sharire, in this body, in which body? In the human body. It is in the realm of human beings which is being spoken. In this body. So what is the meaning of Sharira? Body. That which perishes. Shiryate iti shariram. There are so many words that indicate the body in Sanskrita. In your Ayurveda, Yoga literature, you can find what are the words? Sharira, Deha. There are so many other words. So what is Deha? Dihu Upachaye. Dihu Upachaye means that which gets nourished and grows well. So that is a Deha. Opposite to Deha is Sharira. So if the body is well nourished, if the body is kept in a good lifestyle, then it reaches the state of Deha. If there is deterioration and then lot of problems, then it becomes Sharira. And then what is Kaya? Chiyate iti Kaya. Chiyate purvatana karma bihi iti Kaya. That which has been chosen for us by our previous karmas. So we receive a particular body because of our purvatana karma. Sometimes it has certain disabilities and so many other disabilities, etc., which has been chosen for us because of our previous karma. So each and every word are very rich in Sanskrita. So Sharira, he is very appropriately used the word Sharira here because it is the context of discussing Adhis and Vyadhis. How does the body get deteriorated? By Adhis and Vyadhis. So rather than choosing the word Deha or Kaya, Kaya would also be appropriate. For the meter purposes, he has chosen the word Sharira. So Asmin Sharire, in this body which is subject to so many troubles and problems. So Kim Vinashaha, Kim Utpada. So in this Sharira, Adhayaha, Vyadhayaha cha eva. Adhis and Vyadhis. Adi is generally the problems related to the mind. Vyadhi is the problems related to the body. All that is defined later. I'm just giving you a general sense of it. So in this body, the Adis and Vyadhis, okay, Kim Vinashaha, from how do they get destroyed? Kasmat Vinashaha Tesham. How do they get destroyed? So Adhayaha Kim Vinashaha. How do the Adis, mental afflictions, how are they gotten rid of? Similarly, Kim Vinashaha Adhayaha. How are the illnesses removed? Physical illnesses removed. And he also asks Kim Utpadaha. From where do they arise? Utpada means their generation. So how are the Adis? Where do they stem from? And how are the Vyadhis? Where do they stem from? So Asmin Sharire Adhayaha Vyadhayaha Chaiva Kim Vinashaha Kim Utpadaha. How are they overcome or how are they removed? And what are the causes of their manifestation? Okay, about this Yathavat, as it is. Don't hide anything from me. Tell me everything as it is. Yathavat Kathaya means state. Yathavat Kathaya, as it is. See, don't think that I may not understand. I will certainly understand. So tell it as it is. Don't dilute, don't make an abridgment. Please, I am able to understand. I am one of the capable students. So Yathavat, as it is. Kathaya, tell. Ashu means quickly, without any delay. Ashu, me, to me. So to me, tell as it is the cause of the manifestation and the way in which the Adhis and Vyadhis are overcome. O Munishwara, which those Vyadhis and Adhis which manifest in this body. So this is the first shloka where we see Rama questioning about Adhis and Vyadhis and their manifestation and their overcoming. So we will stop the session here, and if there are any questions, any point to discuss, we will discuss. Alparambha Kshemakaraha. In our Shastra they say Alparambha means the simple small beginning is Kshemakara. It will lead to the final goal. Yes. Any points to discuss? Any thoughts that you get? It is not that you have to ask me questions. You can also share your thoughts because you are all equally experienced or working in your respective fields. So what do you feel about this setting in which this question about Adi and Vyadhi has emerged?
Sir, in Vagbhata Ashtanga Sangraha, he mentions how to be illness-free. He quotes one shloka that's very relevant for here. That is my comment. Nityam hitahara vihara sevi samikshakari vishayeshu asaktaha data samaha satyapara kshamavani aptopasevi cha bhavati aroga. This is the best remedy. How not to go to a doctor for medication. But no doctor prescribes this as a treatment.
Yes. Then they will never come back, sir.
Yes. So this is the best remedy. Sapta Sutras, like, you know.
Yes.
These are the 7 things which says.
So the question has now been raised, which will include all those responses in due course.
Yes,
Yes.
definitely.
Yes. See, you can also see the inquisitiveness that was there. It is not that, and there is one more accusation about our culture, which is not founded at all. We are a culture of otherworldliness. You can read it in the words of Sri Aurobindo. That in his period he writes a lot about this otherworldly. People were not concerned about their body, their mind or senses. They were always thinking about some philosophical truths only. They were not, these Indian knowledge systems are not concerned about the now and here. Will a person who is not concerned about the now and here and what he possesses ask such a question? Not at all. So hence, as we are otherworldly, in the sense we are thinking about the attainment of self-realization, they are very well aware that it is upon this foundation we can reach higher. So hence they were very much concerned about this world and this body and the status that we are here. So hence that is one idea. And also this question, there see, it is easy to give the translation of any shloka and go ahead, but you have to stay with the shloka. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, and so many ideas will come about. You can see the inquisitiveness of Rama. Yathavat, oh teacher, tell me as it is. Don't dilute. In the sense, this is the confidence that a student should have. See, the teacher may say, this is a complicated proposition, you will not understand. No, I am up to the task, please explain. So that is the confidence that student expresses. And also, see the urge in Rama when he says, Ashu, don't delay, don't beat about the bush. Teachers can beat about the bush entire 45-50 minutes and then leave the class. But quickly get into the subject and don't lose the focus. So these are, and see how honest and straightforward the conversation between the teacher was not at all offended by such statements. Rather, Vasishtha was very happy in explaining all these things. Such insights are also there when you see. So when such open intellectual atmosphere was there, then questions will rise naturally. Yes. Any other observations? Yes.
So you're talking about the Chandala queen. So the queen is asking the Kundalini when she has attained Kundalini Shakti.
No, she uses her Kundalini Shakti to be able to fly. Flying is a siddhi. Flying is a siddhi she attained by harnessing her Kundalini Shakti.
Now how it is connected to Rama is asking your verses.
See, Vasishtha says that Chudala on one day wanted to fly in the air to show her husband that these are the yogic powers that I have attained. See, I am not really, means my glow is not merely any cosmetic glow. It comes from the inner conservation. So she wanted to show this more by flying and using that. So for that she also utilized the Kundalini Shakti to fly. So then there is a reference about Kundalini. Then Rama, so in that context Vasishtha also mentions that Kundalini is not only for attaining higher powers like flying on the air, floating on the water, walking on the water and so on and so forth. It also manifests as prana, apana, vyana, udana, etc. And if it is harnessed properly, it will lead to long life and good health and freedom from illness. That's where Vasishtha stops and this is where Rama begins.
So this is the reference for Yoga Vasishtha.
This is the continuation of the story in the conversation between Rama and Vasishtha. We'll stop here? Yes. Yatas sarvani bhutani pratibhanti sthitani cha yatraivo pashamam yanti तस्मै सत्यात्मने नमः. Do memorize these two shlokas. The